Ain't Armian is wielding a sword while donning knightly armor and a cape. He's portrayed boldly charging forward, glowing with divine brilliance. He is the central figure of the prophecy, the chosen protagonist destined to shape the fate of the world. He sits alone at a grand desk, overwhelmed by stacks of documents. A sense of unease looms as he reflects on the prophecy's implications, revealing that his own fate may be intricately tied to Ain't's rise. Focusing on his hand tapping anxiously against the desk, he delivers a sharp twist. Ain't isn't just the hero of the world, he's also the one prophesied to cause the narrator's downfall. This realization adds a layer of dread and foreshadows future conflict between the two characters. Despite the looming threat, Ain't's reputation and power are on the rise. A humorous graph appears, showcasing Ain't as a stock-like figure climbing in popularity and influence. The caption humorously brands him the boss of investment boys at Lu, further showing his growing charisma. He reflects on the contrasting personalities between himself and the Ain't from the prophecy. While he admits to more materialistic tendencies, Ain't is portrayed as someone who cherishes honor above wealth. This disparity highlights the growing gap between their values and destinies. He appears serious and intimidating as he mutters about punishing someone for trying to win favor with money. He contemplates the risk of approaching him too directly, knowing that careless actions could backfire. Ain't's fierce words reveal a strong sense of justice, or perhaps a rigid moral code that makes the narrator tread cautiously. He calmly acknowledges that the current issue at hand is a difficult one. His words draw immediate interest from the other person in the room, who reacts with surprise and asks for clarification about what exactly he finds so difficult. He lounging casually presents a metaphor about investing in a top-performing stock, clearly referring to Ain't. He asks Hyde what he would do in such a scenario, and Hyde responds without hesitation that he would invest confidently. Hints at a plan to approach or befriend Ain't, treating him like a valuable opportunity. Continuing the metaphor, he asks Hyde what if the stock had a clashing personality. Hyde casually dismisses the concern, suggesting that even conflicting traits shouldn't stop investment. This reinforces the metaphor and subtly indicates that Ain't's rigid ideals may be overcome through clever handling, perhaps even manipulation. Looking reflective, he recalls the Duke's philosophy that even personalities can be reshaped through money. He acknowledges Hyde's point and silently agrees, believing that with the right incentives, even someone like Ain't could be influenced. This signals the beginning of a strategic, possibly manipulative approach to aligning with Ain't. He reflects that the situation only feels complicated because of external chaos like demons and destruction. At its heart, the logic remains simple: invest wisely, embrace risks, and accumulate enormous wealth. As he lounges confidently amidst piles of gold, he emphasizes that even clashing personalities pale in comparison to the influence and power that come with money. He realizes that to proceed effectively, he needs more insight into Ain't. Driven by urgency, he decides to meet Ain't in person immediately, believing that direct interaction is the key to uncovering the information he seeks. His determined gesture of pulling out his coat signals his readiness to act without delay. The attendant is caught off guard as his master suddenly rushes off, announcing his intent to meet someone. Confused and alarmed, the attendant reminds him about an incoming guest, unsure why his master is prioritizing another meeting so urgently. The moment highlights the main character's impulsive resolve, overshadowing scheduled plans. He lets out a sigh, visibly annoyed or perhaps resigned, as he mutters to himself. He sarcastically recalls that his master was only just reading about the prophecy the day before, clearly frustrated by how quickly his master is now taking drastic action based on that information. The scene opens with a visual tour of the academy's structure for dormitory assignments. It is explained that placements are based entirely on a student's entrance exam ranking, establishing a strict merit-based hierarchy from the very beginning. Students ranked 1 to 10 are given spots in the luxurious and highly prestigious Labidus dorm. This elite facility symbolizes privilege and top-tier status. The Blessed Dorm, assigned to students ranked 11 to 30. Though not quite as elite as Labidus, it still holds considerable prestige and is reserved for highly capable and respected students. That students who rank below the top 30 are placed in a poorly maintained and unattractive dormitory. The building looks old and run down, clearly indicating its low status within the academy's hierarchy. It visually contrasts with the elite dorms. Gardner Alpenfarson's ego and angry, sentient spirit residing in the sword that Ain't pulled. The spirit is furious upon realizing that Ain't has been placed in the lowest ranked Deeb's dorm, which is reserved for the academy's least accomplished students. The shock and rage highlight how disgraceful this placement seems for someone of Ain't's lineage. The spirit furiously protests that someone from the prestigious Armian bloodline has been relegated to the lowest-ranking Deeb's dorm. It finds it outrageous that a descendant isn't even placed in the mid-tier Blessed dorm, despite being enrolled in the elite Armian academy. Meanwhile, Ain't remains calm, quietly reviewing documents as the spirit rages beside him. He reacts with a smile to the spirit's outrage, suggesting that if the late emperor were alive, he'd be furious at the current situation and take vengeance on the demons, while he wonders why demons are even being mentioned. The spirit angrily insists that such a disgraceful situation like a descendant of Armian being placed in the lowest dorm could only happen through demonic interference, emphasizing the unnaturalness of the event. The blue spirit furiously reacts to the student's excuse that he's in the lowest ranked dorm because he's weak. The spirit is shocked and disappointed that a descendant of the prestigious Armian line could admit to being so powerless. He's sitting calmly with a book, shifts the blame to history, specifically to the first emperor, arguing that he's the reason for their current troubles. The spirit is visibly surprised, questioning this bold claim. A visual explanation appears, showing that the first emperor abolished the imperial succession system. In its place, he established a method where the emperor would be elected from 7 major electorates, fundamentally altering the empire's structure. It's revealed that a former ruler from the Armians donated most of their land and assets to the empire. Since then, other elector families have ruled the empire for over a century, sidelining the Armians from power. He reflects that the territory once owned by the Armians no longer belongs to them, and over time, his family's influence and fortunes declined. They even lost some ancestral sword techniques that were passed down for generations. Despite being from an elector family, the boy admits he never received proper sword training due to their fallen status. The spirit assures him that he still has talent and promises full support to restore the glory of the Armians. He reflects on the possibility that the late emperor may have foreseen these events and intentionally positioned him for a greater purpose. Someone calls out for Ain't from outside the room. Confused, Ain't wonders if a visitor was expected and asks who it is. A blond boy introduces himself confidently as Ain't's Sunbee Sr., surprising both Ain't and the glowing blue spirit. The moment builds suspense as the door handle is turned, prompting Ain't to react in disbelief, saying, "No way." Fernan Sunbee unexpectedly appears at the door, greeting Ain't with a calm smile. Ain't is surprised by his presence and immediately asks what brings him there, showing both respect and curiosity toward the unexpected visit. He politely asks if Ain't is busy, and Ain't replies that he doesn't have anything urgent at the moment. Fernan then requests a moment of his time, hinting that the reason for his visit might be private or important. He glances around at the surrounding students and comments on how the current location is too public and suspicious. He suggests they relocate to a quieter place where they can talk more privately, implying the discussion might involve sensitive matters. Ain't, caught slightly off guard but smiling, agrees to join Fernan and asks for just 10 minutes to get ready. His tone is polite and relaxed, treating the request with casual urgency while preparing himself mentally for the meeting. Fernan playfully scolds Ain't for making a senior wait 10 minutes, humorously reminiscing about how he would have responded instantly in his younger days, even in his underwear. Embarrassed, Ain't quickly changes his promise to 5 minutes instead, flustered by the light-hearted pressure and eager not to offend. After agreeing to step out, Ain't tells him that he will meet him outside the dormitory shortly. As he prepares to leave, the small blue spirit floats beside him, observing quietly. The moment feels calm yet curious, with the spirit seemingly processing the interaction. The blue spirit suddenly erupts in anger, shouting in frustration and disbelief. It demands to know who the mysterious man was, clearly irritated by his presence and possibly feeling overshadowed or left out. The spirit's fiery outburst hints at jealousy or deep suspicion. Ain't explains that the visitor is Fernan Fellenberg, the eldest son of the prestigious Fellenberg family. The blue spirit reacts dismissively, scoffing at the name and referring to the Falkenberg family as a nouveau rich clan, implying disdain or rivalry toward their rising status. The blue spirit vents its frustration, questioning the superiority of the Fellenbergs, claiming they rely solely on wealth and have no right to command a royal heir. Meanwhile, Ain't reflects quietly, puzzled about why someone like Fernan would specifically want to meet with him. Fernan looks serious and slightly tense as he notices the sword with Ain't. Internally, he worries whether Fernan has come to collect the money he owes for a potion, but Fernan's calm comment about the sword suggests a different, possibly more serious reason for the visit. He reassures the Ain't that he has no harmful intentions and understands why he chose to bring a sword. The knight responds that he simply feels safer carrying it, and the seated man comments that most knights are naturally attached to their swords. He identifies the sword as one that contains the spirit of Sir Gardner Alpenfassern. The blonde knight, visibly nervous but curious, asks why he wanted to meet him in the first place. He tries to play off his intentions as nothing serious and casually slides over a menu, implying he simply wants to have dinner together. Surprised, he questions the dinner idea, but he reassures him to order freely. Feeling awkward, Ain't hesitates, noting the restaurant looks too high-end for his comfort. He sternly insists that he should never turn down a senior's offer, referencing the customs of his own generation. Flustered and clearly intimidated, he quickly agrees, addressing him respectfully as Sunbi Nim and hurrying to look at the menu to avoid further scolding. Both of them are sitting across from each other at a table in an upscale restaurant. Ain't anxiously studies the menu while his sword leans beside him, suggesting he's still cautious despite the calm setting. Fernan silently observes Ain't from behind his menu, analyzing him with a sharp gaze. Though Ain't appears naive and gentle on the surface, Fernan is starting to suspect there's more going on beneath the surface. He is internally frustrated and surprised, realizing that Ain't had actually managed to deceive him somehow. He's caught off guard and wonders how someone who seems so innocent could have tricked him so well. Breaking the tension, Fernan suddenly asks Ain't about his future plans after graduating from the academy. The unexpected question catches Ain't off guard, and he reacts with a startled, confused expression. Fernan explains that most students attend the academy to expand their family's influence, but the Armian family has always avoided socializing under the pretense of focusing on strength. This indirectly questions Ain't's motives and path. Ain't expresses frustration at being looked down on due to his family's fallen status, revealing he's tired of the scorn they receive at the academy. He acknowledges that the Armian family still retains royal blood, even if only in name, and remarks on how surprising the situation is. With determination in his eyes, he declares that his goal is to become a royal knight and restore his family's lost honor. Fernan observes that he has strong ambition and pride in his lineage, with a drive powerful enough to reach his dreams. He reflects that the Ain't isn't just a gentle kid. In a Chibai-style conversation, he asks if Ain't has any dietary restrictions, to which Ain't replies he doesn't. Then, when asked about MBTI, Ain't gets confused and cluelessly responds, "MBTI? What?" showing his innocence and unfamiliarity. He observes the academy building under moonlight, reflecting that he now understands what kind of person Ain't Armian truly is. A detailed stock analysis presents Ain't as a prideful, self-assured individual who values honor. He's labeled as an underrated yet promising long-term investment potentially crucial in a future world-ending scenario. Fernan sits confidently with a newspaper, noting that giving Ain't money outright would have damaged his pride. For someone like Ain't, subtle manipulation is more effective than obvious charity. Fernan gleefully imagines his plan succeeding when the time is right. He'll reel Ain't Armain in like a fish, securing him like a prized catch. The exaggerated Chibai scene shows him literally fishing with gold as bait, triumphantly pulling the blonde target out of the water, celebrating the manipulation with a satisfied, "What a catch." He secretly plots to manipulate Ain't Armain for his own benefit, intending to extract every ounce of value from him. Meanwhile, he respectfully greets his returning master, unaware of the cunning plan forming in his mind. He greets the master upon his return, while the master secretly plans to gain everything from his target, even down to the marrow. The servant inquires whether the master met with someone from the Bersha family, prompting a vague response and deflection from the master. The servant reminds him about summoning Ruina Bershif earlier due to her slacking off, to which the master casually feigns forgetfulness. He explains that he would have sent the girl back if he knew the master would be late, and adds that she waited 3 hours before leaving. This suggests concern for the girl's time, but also hints at miscommunication. He questions if the delay might demoralize her, but Fernan coldly replies that crushing her determination will make her easier to control, revealing his manipulative mindset. Fernan reflects on the efforts he's made to tie Bershiv to his side and shows concern that things must go according to plan. His intense focus reveals how much is riding on this strategy. Suddenly, he feels a wave of pain or dizziness and clutches his head, alarming him, who rushes over to ask what's wrong, clearly concerned by the unexpected reaction. He clutches his head, visibly in discomfort. He tries to brush it off by saying it's nothing, but a bead of sweat and the red strain in his eye reveal that something unusual is happening inside him. He quietly admits that he is experiencing a sudden headache, hinting at a deeper, possibly supernatural cause. His eye glowing red suggests a sudden activation of a power or an awakening. He recognizes this sensation but wasn't expecting it to resurface now, indicating a connection to a buried memory or power. He sits still, stunned, as glowing words from an earlier prophecy begin to flash vividly before his eyes. Terms like aquamarine, noble, alive, and fluttering swirl around him. He immediately recognizes these as fragments of the unreadable parts from a past vision. Confused and on edge, he questions why these cryptic clues are resurfacing now, hinting that something significant is about to unfold tied to the prophecy. A magical vision of a woman with flowing brown hair and aquamarine eyes. She stands confidently, bathed in ethereal light, her presence otherworldly. The narration emphasizes that these physical traits are only part of her mystique. What truly defines her is the aura of nobility and the captivating beauty of her living, almost sentient sword. He deepens the enchantment, noting how the sword appears alive and moves with mesmerizing brilliance. A striking visual of a glowing sword symbolizes an extraordinary female warrior whose talent rivals that of a royal knight. However, it's revealed she harbors malevolence, a darkness within her soul. This inner turmoil is hinted to be the key reason her brilliance remains restrained despite her immense skill. He, watching her solemnly, reveals his realization. If the constraints that bind her could be broken, she would regain her freedom and rise again to her full potential. His eyes reflect both hope and sadness, believing in the greatness she could achieve if only unshackled. He identifies those shackles as the Fellenberg family. With urgency and determination in his expression, he resolves to liberate her from their oppressive grip. His declaration underscores a personal mission to help her rediscover her strength and soar unbound. The woman sits at the table in quiet reflection, stunned by the realization that Ain't may have grown to hate her in the future. The atmosphere is heavy as her mind begins to piece together the consequences of her past actions. Her eyes shine with subtle vulnerability as she contemplates what led to Ain's hatred and how deep the scars must be for him to feel that way. Meanwhile, he is overcome by a surge of chaotic emotion or power, clutches his head and mutters in frustration. His glowing red eyes and twisted smile suggest that he's on the edge of losing control. In a contrastingly calm moment, a butler tries to offer something to the seated young man, who casually waves him off, saying he wasn't speaking to him. This implies he might be communicating with someone or something else entirely.